Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a video that is inspired by one of my YouTube friends. Her name is Sophie. So the other day I was watching her channel because I love her videos and she makes videos about the luxury fashion world, handbags, but she's so nice and so entertaining. And she made this video that it was about bags that she bought that she considered that were a waste of money. I'm gonna link her video in the description box down below. And as I was watching that video, I realized that I have so many. So I thought to do a version of it, and it's going to be the confessions of a handbag addict, my biggest luxury bag regrets. And I do have to say that I've made similar videos like this in the past. This time I have way more bags that I want to talk to you guys about, but I am really proud to say that all of the bags that I'm gonna mention today, I ended up selling them. And I am really happy about that because I firmly believe that if something is not really serving us, that if it doesn't really work out for us, that we need to let go and make space for things that we end up truly loving. But I do hope that this video is entertaining and also to help anyone that might be on the same boat. Maybe you're considering some of these bags and I might be able to point out things that maybe will annoy you too. Also, you will notice that in a good portion of this video, the biggest mistake that I did was to not follow my gut, be pushed a little bit more by the sales associate, or I was just being a little bit impulsive. And I think if I can point out the main reasons why all of these bags did not work out for me were following trends, not being realistic about my lifestyle, and I would say the biggest one would be practicality or the lack of practicality of that bag. But yeah, as I said, all of the bags that I'm gonna talk about, I'm gonna show you pictures because I sold them all. I did lose a lot of money on most of them, but I did learn a lot from these mistakes and now I feel like I don't make them as much. So I would recommend you guys to grab a coffee to join me, and if it's a little bit later, a glass of wine, and let's go bag by bag. So the first one is going to be the Pochette Métis from Louis Vuitton, and I did not have one, I had 3 of them. And for the ones that have been sticking around the luxury handbag community for years and years and years, you will remember that the Pochette Métis was like the peak of the hike of Louis Vuitton. Like it was the it bag, and it was also so hard to find. So basically, if you found a Pochette Métis at the store, it was like winning the Olympics. If I would see a woman walking on the street with the Pochette Métis, I was so impressed on how she managed to get the bag. Every YouTuber back then, every influencer, Pinterest, everywhere that you would look, the Pochette Métis was like front and center. So of course it took me a bit and I ended up buying it. I did not buy it once, I bought it 3 times. It was very well known that the Pochette Métis had a lot of quality issues, very specifically on the glazing on the side of the bag. So the first time that I bought the bag, I had problems with the glazing. It started peeling off. I take it to the store and of course they are really good in that sense that they will give you a new one. So I take it in, they give me a new one, and then I started to have issues again with the glazing and again with the hardware. This was the second one that I had. So it was a little bit frustrating. I thought about giving up because also I didn't really have the bag long enough to really test it out, and I've kind of became a little bit scared to use it because it felt so delicate. However, the third time that I got it, I ended up getting it in the reverse monogram, which was like even more of a unicorn. Like that bag was so hard to find, and I have to admit that I feel a little bit nostalgic about that era. I do miss so much the 2017, 2018. I just feel like life felt so much simpler, and I don't know if anyone is gonna be able to relate to this, but I just look back on that time. It was just such a happy time. Anyway, I get it in reverse monogram, and I loved the bag for the first couple of weeks because I was so hyped up that I was able to find it, and I really started using that one, and I did not have any quality issues. I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that it was reverse monogram, but I ended up hating the bag. I feel like back then it was definitely not a bag for me. Maybe today I would like it more and it would fit better into my lifestyle than it did back then a couple of years ago. Starting with the fact that the strap, it has this buckle. This happens to me with every Louis Vuitton bag that has that same strap. It just kept pulling on my hair and it would take out chunks on hair. It was painful, it was impractical. I just didn't really like the strap. Adding to that it has like this briefcase shape, it just didn't really match with the way that I was dressing. Again, I think today I would like it way more. We will not buy it again, but I think I would like it way more than I did back then. I didn't like the closure. I didn't really like the compartments inside. I didn't like anything about the bag, but the fact that I found it, I think that was the thing for me in that moment. I did think that it was really pretty. It was just not for me. But this just comes to show that now I am kind of like talking myself into the fact that I might like the bag today. I ended up selling mine years ago. I have never really regretted selling it, to be completely honest. I think it's definitely the nostalgia aspect of it that now that I think about it, it makes me feel like it was such a good time. But I think a good takeaway from this is that just because a bag is super trendy doesn't mean that it's gonna fit your lifestyle and it's going to be good for you. So just be careful to not fall for the hype. I am now someone that is very aware of this. I am very careful and I wait it out so much before I buy a new bag that is super trendy. So yeah, I'm always late to trends now. I'm really happy to do it because I just make sure that if I am buying a bag, I am doing it because I've thought about it. I've considered the practicality, how it's going to fit into my lifestyle, if I really like it, if there's any issues with it that are very well known and that I'm not going to ignore. So yeah, do not fall for the trend trap. Another one that falls, I think, in the same category is going to be the Dior Book Tote. That bag, I love it so much till this day, but my gosh, it was the most unpractical bag that I've ever owned, even though it fitted so much. So I feel like I always kept coming back and forth between I freaking love this bag because it's so beautiful, it's so special. Like for me, it was just a lot of things that I really liked put into a bag. It did fit so much and I would get so many compliments on it, especially when it just came out. Like the bag was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Everyone knew the Book Tote. It was like the hottest bag that Dior has come out with in so many years. And till this day, the new collection that was released by Jonathan Anderson has me this close of buying another one, even though I know that is not a good buy for me because it was just not practical. It is a very boxy bag. So I had first the medium. I sold the medium because it was just too overwhelming for me because I am really short. You cannot really put it under your shoulder and carry the bag around comfortably. So I ended up going for the smaller size. I believe it was the medium because then they came out with a smaller one even. I tried everything to completely fall in love with that bag, but it was the handles. Traveling with it was almost impossible because you cannot really fold it unless you really are willing to fold the handles. It can stain super easy. You cannot put it on the overhead compartment on the plane. You don't want to put it under your seat. It is a bag that is fabric and it's super delicate. So it had so many things that annoyed me so much, but it was so pretty. Now also to add that at some point it started to feel very saturated. Like everywhere that you would look on social media, fakes, on the street, everywhere you would see the Book Tote, and I think that's something that you still see to this day. That is a big testament of how hot that bag was in that moment, and honestly I do feel like it's so beautiful. However, it felt like too much and it felt too showy because it was the big oblique and it said Christian Dior in all big cap letters. It was not ideal specifically for traveling. So yeah, I ended up drifting away from loving the bag and really regretting buying it. By the time that I ended up selling mine, the resale value was super low. When it all started, it was impossible to get it, so you had to pay premium if you wanted to get it on the resale market. By the time that I let it go, it was completely the opposite, and this is something that happens a lot with these like super hot bags that end up being like saturated. So there's so many in the market that are being sold, therefore you're gonna end up losing quite a lot of money on them. The next one is the Dior Saddle Bag. Iconic, beautiful, a moment in fashion history for sure. This was one of those bags that when it had its massive comeback, I was just waiting for like a very special one so I could add it to my closet. And even though I always kind of knew that the shape was very inconvenient, I was so drawn to the bag just because I felt like it was so iconic. Like it happens to me with every single bag that it's like a re-release of a classic. So I love everything vintage. I love Y2K, anything that is like a comeback. You bet that I will probably want to get it, and if I don't, that's because I've learned from my mistakes. But when it comes to the Dior Saddle Bag, I did wait a really long time to find the perfect one, and I still ended up regretting it so much. I ended up finding it in this beautiful black satin, and on the hardware it had crystals. The bag was absolutely stunning. Every single time that I was planning on going on a dinner date, I would try to grab that bag. And this is the thing, I think if I would find like a mini Lady Dior in that same combo, like black satin with crystals, that would have been such a massive hit. The problem was that the saddle bag is just, in my opinion, because I know that this bag is amazing for so many people, but just for me, the shape and the things that would fit inside of the mini saddle bag was nothing, like not even my phone, because the opening is so small. The shape of the bag is just so inconvenient. So that bag was all shape aesthetics and zero functionality. So the thing that would happen is that I would end up carrying the bag, and most of my stuff that I would need to take out would be in my pockets, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a handbag. Mine also did not have a strap, which I didn't mind because I would not really use it with a strap either way. The lesson that I did learn here is that a bag can be iconic and still be something that it's not going to be functional for your life, and it can be iconic at the store with your friends and on your Pinterest board, but you don't necessarily have to own it. This one is a story that I've told before, but I feel so silly for allowing myself to be in that position. But this was so many years ago, and it was with Chanel. I bought my first classic flop and I was so over the moon with it, but it was defective. I didn't know it was defective until months later, because the day that I went to buy it at the store, I just knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted very specifically a medium classic flap in black, caviar, gold hardware. It was like the most classic combination that you wanted. I went to the store, they showed it to me. I did not even inspect the bag. I took it home and I loved it so much, until a couple of months later I started to realize that something was wrong with the bottom of the bag. It was almost like the bottom was broken. I don't know how to explain it, but it had like this really big bump. So I take it back to the store. At first they told me that it was normal wear. I believed them. But then I went into the Porsche forum pages and I started to read a little bit more. I started to ask around and everyone kept telling me that it was not normal. So I go back to the store, they send it in and it comes back as defective. Now that I tell this story, I get angry because I cannot believe that I let them do this, but I give them a medium classic flap, literally brand new. I used it maybe a handful of times and this is not something that I did to the bag. So they tell me it's defective. Going from that, I assumed that I would just get a brand new one. They tell me that I need to pay for the price increase because there had been a price increase between the moment that I bought the bag to when they were giving me a new one. I did not know in that moment how to react, but I wanted my new bag and I say, okay, I will pay for the price increase. I just want the exact same bag. They tell me that they don't have any black medium classic flops. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Do you have it in the jumbo size? I don't know why, but I was open to the jumbo. And they tell me not in black, but we do have one in red. They bring out this red jumbo. It was really beautiful, but it was not something that I was going to wear, especially because this was supposed to be my first Chanel bag. And I went 100% what I wanted. That was effective, but I had to come out with something that day. There was so much pressure from the sales associate from me to come out with a bag that day that I felt like it was all or nothing. So I end up taking that red jumbo that was silver hardware, a bigger size, and also a price difference from the medium. So I remember that I had to pay for the price increase, the difference, because the medium and the jumbo had a price difference back then. I don't know how much that was. I think I paid around 700-800 euros plus for their mistake, mind you. I was young, I didn't know better. I didn't know how to advocate for myself, and because the essay was nice-ish but very firm about you have to pick one bag today, you have to cover the price increase, and this is the only thing that we have in stock. I now know that I shouldn't have had paid for the price increase because this was not my fault. That they had to find me exactly the bag that I wanted, and that there was absolutely no reason for them to pressure me into going out with a bag that day. I should have had plenty of time to take a decision for their mistake. But again, you live and you learn. I ended up selling that bag. It was not bad because by the time that I sold that bag, there had been several price increases and I sold it for around retail, so I did not lose money. I think I basically sold it for what I ended up paying total, and I ended up having my happy ending and getting the bag that I wanted, and I still have till this day. And I ended up getting black classic flap. I ended up changing my mind because now I like lambskin more than caviar. Gold hardware, I have it right now in my closet, and that bag, I adore it. So it was a happy ending by the end, but yes, crazy the fact that I allowed that to happen. I think you just kind of get used to it and you need to give yourself like your space and the voice. It can be intimidating at the stores and I was really scared. But for anyone that is watching this, do not let them bully you. If you ever have any quality issues, that is 100% on the brand and not on you, as long as it was not something that was caused by wear. So So with this one, I was so stubborn, and I am stubborn about it till this day. But one of the bags that started my whole handbag obsession was the Louis Vuitton Palm Springs Mini. Also a massive throwback to that good old Louis Vuitton era. The first bag that I truly fell in love with was the Louis Vuitton Palm Springs Mini, because this bag made me actively want to save and go buy like my first luxury handbag. The problem with the Palm Springs Mini back then was that you just could not go to the store and buy it. It was just so hard to find because absolutely everyone wanted to get it. So there was a really big waiting list. And I did not know this, of course, because I was just like entering the handbag world. So I waited for a couple of months without any luck finding the Palm Springs Mini, and I was able to get a hold of the PM size. So the Palm Springs Mini would come in the mini, the PM, the MM, and I'm not sure if it ever came in the GM size. I don't remember, but I ended up getting the PM. The PM comes with this like chunky straps, and I thought that this was going to be the best bag for me. We were traveling a lot back then, and in my head a backpack was going to be like the best thing for me. But I've always looked way younger than I actually am. I was around 21, 22 years old, and then add a backpack, I looked like a high schooler. I was in that like really weird position that if I would wear a Chanel bag, I would get comments that why I would be wearing a bag that looked like it was made for an older lady, because back then the Chanel Classic Flap was not something that you would see as much as you do right now. So seeing it on a younger person was very off-putting for a lot of people. But then I would put the Palm Springs backpack and I felt like I looked like a teenager. Till this day, I get comments here on YouTube basically calling me a kid and what am I doing buying handbags basically. And I am turning 30 this year. I'm definitely taking it as a compliment. Back then, it annoyed me a little bit much because it was very dismissive sometimes, but I know that the backpack didn't help. Adding to the fact that I didn't like having my things on my back. So it felt like people could just open it and steal some things. So it was not really that practical. And I just kept buying backpacks. I tried the Dauphine, I tried the Monsoris, I tried all of the Louis Vuitton backpacks in history. I've tried them. They don't work out, at least for me. I am not a backpack person. Maybe in the future it might change, but right now I am going to steer away from them. I did learn my lesson very late, but I ended up learning it after the 8th backpack that didn't really work out. This one I think was just very specific for me, but the Louis Vuitton Neverfull never worked out for me, and I really tried. I think I'm adding a lot of Louis Vuitton bags to this list. And I think that's also because I was such a Louis Vuitton fan that I wanted to try almost every single bag, and just a few of them ended up working out for me. But the Neverfull was definitely a bag that did not work out. I tried it in every size, in every print. I had it in monogram, Damier Ben, Damier Assure, and each and every single one of them had its pros and cons, and that was driving me a little bit crazy. I started having the one in monogram, and I felt that it was a little bit flashy, and also back then we were living for a while in Vienna during winter, and it would rain so much, and I was so scared that I was going to ruin the vachetta on the bag, because the monogram has the natural leather trim, so it can get stained with water, and I just tried everything that I could to keep it as clean as possible, and I was just stressing so much over it. Adding to the fact that I just didn't like that it was just a really big bag with a monogram canvas, that I've grown to like it more and more with time passing. So yeah, I decided that the monogram is not for me. Then I wanted to get the one in Damier Ben. This one was supposed to be the most carefree. I love the chocolatey color, but oh my gosh, the straps would dig on my shoulder because Damier Ben has treated leathers. So the leather is basically brown, is very stiff. It is very low maintenance. The bag is going to wear way better than the other one. However, I did see a lot of people reporting that the handles would crack a lot because the leather was so stiff that with use and a lot of wear they would start to crack a little bit. But I just hated the straps so much because they would dig on my shoulder. As someone who overpacks a lot, especially because I was using that bag for college, for traveling, my laptop was always inside, water, coffee, I would have a lot of things inside of that bag, so it was super heavy and the straps were so painful. Second one that didn't really work out. Then I thought the Damier Assure was going to be the one that would definitely work out. I would wear a lot of denim. I would wear a lot of blue. and that bag was just a magnet for color transfer about to happen. So I was always so careful with what I was using it with. At some point, I would just try to avoid my bag touching my clothing, and with the tote that is just so difficult. So adding also the fact that it had vachetta, so also being careful with the fact that you would have to avoid water stains. It was just a mess about to happen. And back then I was so set that I did not want to stain my bags, that I wanted them to look new for as long as possible. So I have changed a lot in that sense, and now I just think that bags are meant to be worn, and if they stain, if they scratch, that's what they're made for. But it took me a really long time to get to this point, and the Neverfull was just like mistake after mistake after mistake, and I ended up not really wanting to ever try it again. This next one is from Hermès, and it's actually the Kelly To Go. So I'm gonna need you guys to hear me out when it comes to this bag, because I started really loving the bag to then coming to the realization that I just carry more stuff. As much as I wish that I was still someone that could go out of my house with some credit cards, a lipstick, my keys, and my phone, unfortunately I am not. I actually had 2 Kelly To Go's because I got the first one and I loved it so much that I ended up getting a second one. I had them in gold and in blue bloom, and blue bloom was my absolute favorite color from Hermès back then. I still really love it, and I would love to have a bag in blue bloom, but I love those bags so much because it was so easy to go out with them. I think for me it started as, I don't need to bring this many things. I'm just gonna put my cards inside. I'm gonna have my phone in my hand anyway, and I would use them as a wallet on chain. And something that is really funny is that something that I've said from day one is that I am not someone who likes wallet on chains, but I did give the Kelly To Go a pass because I just liked it so much. Also because the strap length was perfect for me to wear crossbody. Now with time, I realized that I usually carry bigger items inside of my bag, so these are not things that are gonna necessarily fit on such a slim bag, so that became constantly a problem. Every single time that I wanted to wear the bag, I just realized that I had to put so many things in my pockets or decide to leave them behind, and I was just constantly compromising when we're spending so much money on these bags, and they're supposed to be functional and help us out during our day and carry our stuff. And it's not necessarily that these are like super big items. I'm talking about a mini camera or a hand cream, things that would fit inside of a mini bag still, but just not specifically on a wallet on chain, because they're just very slim bags, so they just fit very flat items. So I ended up selling them, and I never ever again bought another wallet on chain. Another Chanel one, and this one I really don't know what I was thinking, but at some point I bought a Chanel Coco Handle in the medium size in this electric blue chevron aged gold hardware. I don't know honestly why I even bought that bag. I went into the store because I wanted a black mini. Black minis were impossible to find, and by this time the Coco Handle was like kind of the new thing at the boutique. So I went in looking for something, but the essay brings out something completely different, that she showed me quite a few Coco Handles. And just so I give you guys more context, I didn't really like bigger bags back then. I never liked chevron. I only liked quilted. I don't like electric blue at all. I don't own any single thing in electric blue. I like pastel colors, and aged gold hardware was my least favorite hardware out of everything that Chanel offered. So why did I buy it? I think the combination looked really nice when I saw it on display, and I wanted to try it on, and it did work out very well with the outfit that I was wearing that day. But from the moment that I was paying, I was like very hesitant. I just did not stop it. I don't know why. And then I got home and I was like, what did I just do? And I kept sending pictures to my friends asking, do you guys like it? And they're like, yes, I like it. I don't know if it's specifically you, but it's a really nice bag. And I'm like, of course it's a really nice bag, it's Chanel, but did I just spend thousands of euros on a bag that I am so unsure of the moment that I leave the store? To this day, I don't know why I bought it, to be completely honest. It was very impulsive, and I was really scared to go back to the store to return it, so I ended up selling it. I lost money on it, yes. I did learn my lesson, but I just really scared to go back because it was the same essay that sold me the red jumbo. So of course I didn't want to go back and return a bag that I bought like days before, but I didn't really like the size. I didn't like the color. It was so hard to pair with anything in my closet. I didn't love the fact that if you wanted to open the bag while you were wearing it, the handle would literally dig. And the last bag is going to be one that I like a lot still. I really love velvet bags, but I was also not realistic because I have a golden retriever. Now I have two, but I bought this YSL Toy Loulou. It was on sale and it was the most beautiful bag. I love bags that are like in different fabrics. So I love suede, I love velvet, I love satin. I'm such a big fan of any bags like that, and in black it just looked so rich and so beautiful. So I got that bag on a sale and I think that I scored massively. I take it home. Every single time that I tried to wear that bag, it was never fully black because I have a golden retriever and golden retrievers shed so much and they shed basically white hair. So every single time that I left the house, I was brushing the bag. I already like had hair also on my clothing, so it was just never clean. It was never completely rid of the dog hair. Instead of enjoying the bag, I just kept looking at it and just trying to get the hairs away. And it was like my special going out bag. And I think that's not really the point. So I learned my lesson. No black velvet. I am open to velvet in lighter colors. So I've thought about maybe light gray, maybe pink, maybe blue, but black, I don't think it's something that I would ever do again because it's just impossible. And now I have two golden retrievers, so I think it would be double the hair. So we're not doing that anymore. So these were basically my biggest luxury regrets when it comes to buying handbags. All of these bags are in new homes, being loved by someone that is definitely going to give them a better use and love them more than I ever did. And I do feel like everyone has their journey of learning what it works for them and what they love. And I think if I never made all of those mistakes and I've never bought all of those bags and understood a little bit better my lifestyle, the things that I like, the things that I don't like, I would not really have the mindset that I have now, where it's more like practicality over everything else. And if I like a style, I just buy it in different colors because it's just what works for me. I love handbags so much, and of course there's going to be many that are not going to work out for me, but I would love to hear you guys out in the comments any horror stories that you guys have at the stores, your worst handbag purchases. I would love to hear you guys out in the comments. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and click the notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my videos. And if you're not done watching, I'm gonna leave YouTube right here in case you want to check them out. Thank you and see you on the next one. Bye.